Hey YouTube, Motor Racing Network, Steve Post here. Another great collection of diecast, some really special machines. So let's get started and look at some of these cars that are brand new in stock. These cars available at your local diecast dealers or at planbsales.com. Going to start down at the end with a couple of win cars, or a truck if you will. Cole Custer's winning truck from up in New Hampshire. Remember the young driver scored that win in his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, autographed by Cole on the front of it. It is the win truck from New Hampshire. And speaking of New Hampshire wins, here is the Red's Apple Ale car of Brad Keselowski, the winning car from New Hampshire last fall. So I know a couple have been asking about that. We now have Brad Keselowski's car in stock. Also looking back at 2014, we've got the color chrome Dale Earnhardt Jr. chase car, the Diet Mountain Dew machine. And we've got Kevin Harvick's aluminum can numbered 4 car from Stewart-Haas Racing, the aluminum can in standard finish and in color chrome finish. So those first 5 that we have are older cars from last year here in our 1/24th scale collection. Now, let's get into the 2015 models and start off with NASCAR Xfinity Series, reigning champ Chase Elliott, the color chrome number 9 Napa car, the liquid color car, the vintage machine, and the raw machine for Chase Elliott. These are all in stock now and ready to roll. So you Chase Elliott fans and those of you collecting for the future, we know this guy is going to be huge rock star. Time to get these diecast cars right now and get them added into your collection. Speaking of huge rock stars, Jeff Gordon, the new paint scheme, the 3M colors, and we have a number of different finishes there as well. The color chrome finish, we have the raw finish for Jeff Gordon's car, and the vintage finish. So you Jeff Gordon fans that collect, and I know a lot of talk about this 3M paint scheme, it is available in these finishes now. So very, very exciting to have all of this Jeff Gordon stuff. Hendrick Motorsports teammate Casey Kane, Time Warner Cable Chevrolet. We've got the standard finish on that car and the color chrome finish for Casey Kane. So we have got some great 1/24 scale diecast there in our back row. Now let's look at what we've got up in the front row. So now we look up here, we've got Tony Stewart's car, okay? We've got the Mobil 1 Bass Pro Tracker Boats car. Tony Stewart, standard finish, vintage finish for Tony Stewart. These cars always look good, and Tony Stewart back and at full strength this year. Really cool to have Smoke back at the racetrack. The Jimmy John's colors for Kevin Harvick. He's off to a great start this season, and we have that in color chrome, the 2015 edition. The Kurt Busch / your driver here car. We're not sure where Kurt is going. He is on the road to recovery in NASCAR, but we do have his diecast. Here's the Haas color chrome car, the vintage finish for Kurt Busch, and the raw finish for Kurt Busch. So we do have those Kurt Busch cars. Here is the Austin Dillon Cheerios color chrome machine that we have. The number 3 car in color chrome finish. Always love seeing that number 3 machine. We also have the raw finish of that and the raw finish of the Dow Chemicals paint scheme. So Cheerios, Dow Chemicals sharing that sponsorship. And we have the Austin Dillon cars in the various finishes as well. Brad Keselowski's cars, we have the standard finish, the White Deuce, the Miller Lite car, we have the color chrome, and we have the raw for Brad Keselowski. So there you have Brad Keselowski's collection with some different finishes of the white number 2 car from Penske Racing. So that wraps up the 1/24 scale cars, but let's keep right on digging into the 1/64 scale. Going to step back just a little bit. The championship car for Kevin Harvick from last year has the championship logo on the hood of it, the Chase yellow tape on the upper windshield of it, so that is the championship winning car. Now we get back into 2015, jumping around here a little bit. We've got all of Tony Stewart's finishes. We've got the Bass Pro Shop car, all of his paint schemes that is. The Bass Pro Shops, we've got the Rush Truck Center, the Code 3 Associates for Tony Stewart, and the Mobil 1 cars. All of the 2015 1/64 scale paint schemes that you'll have Tony Stewart driving, they are available there now. Danica Patrick's GoDaddy car is available now in 1/64 scale, so all you Danica fans, we have that for you. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s car available as well, the Fastenal Ford from over at Roush Fenway Racing. Brad Keselowski's car, we have got the Miller Lite diecast car, the 1/64 scale, the little car on the platform because it's not a toy. It's not for kids to play with. They can't do that, you know, with the beer companies. But for the kids to play with, we have this, the Blue Deuce car for Brad Keselowski, Brad Keselowski's car. Now we go through all of these, but this one's really cool. The 1994 Brickyard winner for Jeff Gordon. The old rainbow colors on the DuPont Chevy for Jeff Gordon. As we celebrate his incredible career, this is one that you want. Even has the dust up along the door, the damage on the right side door, left side door that is, damage on that race car that Jeff Gordon had when he rolled into victory lane at the Brickyard. So some really cool die-cast we have, from historical pieces to race-winning pieces to your favorite drivers. We have it all, and all of these die-cast cars are available at your local die-cast dealer or at planbsales.com. Now, don't go away. In just a moment, we'll be back with your questions. It's time for the post show. It's time now for the post show, and this is where we take your questions from right down below. And we have a lot of ways to communicate with you, but in this case, in YouTube, just type your questions right down below, and who knows, maybe we'll answer them on the post show. We're also on Twitter, also on Facebook, so we're all over the place, and we love talking racing, and we love talking diecast. So let's get to the questions from down below from our last video. Matthew writes in and says, after what's going on with Kurt Busch, do you think he'll come back to NASCAR or go to another form of racing? You know, this one, the verdict is out. Now, Kurt has started the road to recovery as laid out by NASCAR. The problem with this is that road to recovery could take a detour if the court systems get involved with his mess with his ex-girlfriend. So I just don't know the answer to this one. I really don't. If things go away up in Dover with no charges against him, then I think Kurt can make it back on the road to recovery. If there are charges, then obviously that becomes a bigger issue than NASCAR, and then I think the verdict is, we'll have to wait and see what the charges are, and we're getting way ahead of that, but we just don't know. Until the court system decide, I'm not sure what we know about Kurt's future in NASCAR racing. And man, that guy can wheel a race car. So hopefully he can get it all sorted out and we'll see him back behind the wheel. Joshua writes in and says, how many races do you think Tony Stewart will win this year? And what tracks do you think he'll win at? You know, it's early in the year, and I spent some time at Daytona talking with Tony, and I really like his attitude. I like the frame of mind he is in after a couple of really rough years. We don't have a lot to base anything on. Daytona's kind of its own unique animal. Atlanta, Tony was not all that good. Now, I do think they get it together, and I think they score a win or two. I just don't know where. That's the challenge with a guy like Tony Stewart, because he could win anywhere. Road course, super speedway, short track, intermediate track. He's so good, and I do think that team will get it buttoned up so he can get to victory lane a time or two this year. I just don't know where that's going to be. NASCAR Mavs fan writes in and says, do you think Iowa Speedway will get a cup date within the next 5 to 10 years? I don't. I just don't. I love Iowa Speedway, love going out there. I just don't know where it's going to come from. NASCAR has been very adamant for something to come on the schedule. Something has to come off the schedule, and there are other tracks. I know Las Vegas wants a second date, and I think there's a better chance of that. I just don't. I love Iowa Speedway, and I'd love to see the Cup cars going around there because I think it's a great racetrack, but I just don't know that that's in the cards going forward for a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. But that makes it all that much more important. All you fans support it for the Camping World Truck Series and Xfinity races. We don't want to lose the place. The place is good. I just don't know that we're going to see it going to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Tour. NRCFJ88. Do you think that Kyle Busch returns from his injuries? He will be still able to perform at a high level? Yes, I really do. I think Kyle Busch is one of the elite athletes in the sport. I think his determination, I think his drive, I think it's going to be inspiring watching him work through these injuries. And yes, I do think he returns to top form. So we'll just have to see, but I really do believe, I don't think we're going to see any performance-based hindrances on this, but the brakes are really serious. He may have a little bit of a hobble when he walks around, but I think when he slides down in that race car, Kyle Busch will be just fine when he gets to do that. Racing Dale 72, do you think Casey Kane can rebound after a tough 2014? Yes, I do. And I think the key to Casey Kane rebounding is new crew chief with Keith Rodden. Keith is one of the sharpest new crew chiefs in the garage area. He has a long history as the engineer with Casey Kane. I think they get back together, and I do think they get the wins. I don't think they wait till Atlanta in the fall, which we don't have that anymore, but Labor Day weekend like they did last year. I think they get a win or two along the way here, somewhat earlier in the season. I just think Keith Rodden's that good. And, oh, by the way, they're with Hendrick Motorsports. That's a pretty good team as well. So there's a lot of talent there to be sitting around and floundering, and I do think Casey Kane does rebound just a little bit after last season. Ryan writes in, what drivers do you think could knock off their first win of the season or of their career? And you listed Kyle Larson, Trevor Bayne, Sam Hornish Jr. Well, I just will be shocked if we get down to the end of the year and Kyle Larson has not won a race. I will be stunned if that doesn't happen. So I think Kyle Larson is in that category. Now, others that could certainly win a race, how about Austin Dillon winning a Cup Series race? I think that's quite possible as well. I like the Sam Hornish Jr. thing as well. I really think Sam Hornish Jr. could score a win in Richard Petty's cars. We've seen those cars. They're very, very good. Eric Almirola is off to a good start this season, and I think Sam Hornish Jr. could win. So I do think we could have some new and first-time winners this year. And I saved the last one to Tommy's question, which kind of ties into that last one. Do you think Trevor Bayne will have a shot at the title in 2015? You know, it's early, and as we talking about Tony Stewart, we really have just Atlanta right now as we're taping this to base it on, and I didn't see a lot of speed out of the Roush Fenway camp. I think Trevor Bayne's perfectly capable, and I think that team has got some really good people, but until we see speed out of Roush Fenway Racing, and that's Trevor or Ricky or Greg Biffle, I just don't know what we're going to see. They claim they have the answers. Atlanta really didn't show anything, and Atlanta's an old, worn-out racetrack. I think when we get to these next few races, we'll see and maybe have a better answer, but I don't know about Trevor Bayne in the title hunt. Although winning a race, going to Daytona, Talladega, he certainly could do that. So we'll just have to wait and see. And I think that's the beauty of this championship format that we have, that it's kind of a wild card. And I think a guy like Trevor Bayne, while capable, right now performance week in and week out is going to be the question on that. So there you have it. That's the post show. We love your questions. We love talking NASCAR racing. We could do it all day long. In fact, here at Plan B Sales, we do it all day long in the warehouse and in the shipping department, out in the offices. Everyone's talking NASCAR racing because we're up and at 'em, and what a great way to commemorate the season and remember the season and remember historical moments with Diecast cars. We also have hats and shirts and trinkets and all kinds of neat things as well, so just go to planbsales.com, do some shopping, and get yourself hooked up with some great racing gear. We love that you guys are getting involved with us here on YouTube. We have the comments below. Feel free to mention your comments here. Follow us on Twitter at Plan B Sales, and we'll keep you informed on what we have. And please get some back and forth conversation going because we love talking racing and love talking with you race fans out there, and we appreciate the business you do give us.